Shady Grove, my fair love. Don Joe, Matt the Greeter, losing thousands of subscribers a day. Would you look at that dog? What a beautiful dog. What a kind and friendly dog. What a dog that I would befriend in a heartbeat. Yeah, I'm saying that particularly for the folks who think I'm a dog hater. Yeah, I don't hate dogs. Lies, malicious slander, intentional affliction of emotion. Do I really care that much? I guess not. Well, scrap the last one. I don't mind dogs. I don't mind dogs. I even like some of them. I think they're cool. Anyhow, let's talk about something real close to my heart, I guess. That's absolutely not the sentence I was trying to say. That's just how the words tumbled out of my mouth. So let's roll with that, shall we? I want to talk about a couple of radio stations. For you younger viewers, first of all, what are you doing here? Welcome. But second of all, radio station 40. I beg to differ. Radio station is like, there's radio waves that go through the air, and sometimes if you get a right kind of machine and you dial it in just right, you got a machine that can translate that into sound, and you can hear music and people talking and stuff right over a machine that you can just plug into the wall or not if you have batteries. Radios are cool. Radios. It's like you're the you got a CD player in the car or an MP3 player, or you got Spotify, but you're kind of relegated to somebody's playlist, and you just hope that the person who's what's up, dude? You're hoping that the dude that is running the DJ in the car, you're just hoping that they're a decent person. Don't jump. Big a railroad fan, train fan. And so radio stations, yeah, they're near and dear to my heart, although I loathe and detest and abhor and feel very negative thoughts towards commercials. So I don't like commercial radio in any way, shape, or form. I don't like DJs that lie for a living and have, zillions of listeners who love to hear those lies and believe them. I don't like that either. So then what do I listen to when I listen to the radio? I'll tell you, there's three stations. One of them, I'll just say right off the rip, is K-Love. My wife is a K-Love listener, and I'll say that the Christian music scene has kind of, maybe in some ways, has stepped up its game a bit, and so it's not as dreadedly poppy or whatever. Positive, encouraging aren't two words that are typically, words that float around in my head, but anyhow, that is on often in my house, though I don't necessarily reach out to choose it, but maybe it's better than I thought it would be. But that's not what I'm going to talk about right now. I want to talk about publicly funded radio a little bit. Oh, sounds like a commercial. Actually, saying those words, the algorithm will probably crush it. What's up, buddy? Stay in your lane. Thanks. Anyhow, Boston Public Radio, WGBH, absolute top shelf radio programming without a doubt. And I'm not sponsored by anybody. I can't find a big enough fool to sponsor me. But anyhow, Boston Public Radio and WGBH, absolute superior radio station. You get a really good variety of stuff depending on the day and the time of day that you're listening in. And I like to listen sometimes on my lunch break to Boston Public Radio, that segment with Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan, and they talk through a bunch of relevant and timely issues, and sometimes issues that are like, why are they talking about that? And then you found that, geez, I just listened to a half hour of that segment and I was accidentally riveted. So there's been a lot there. I listened to a lot of jazz at night on GBH radio. There was a host called Eric Jackson who was just the greatest jazz DJ And I'm not saying that because I'm a homer, just because it was a Boston thing here, but Eric in the Evening was one of the greatest jazz programs I would say ever on radio, and I would stand behind that. They also have other really interesting programming on the weekend, and stuff that I don't necessarily have time to listen to, but well worth the fun. So all of that is so obviously the Senate and the House have done a disservice to public radio by withholding support that was already promised to public radio. Public radio also in very rural areas, they rely on it for up-to-date news stuff, weather emergency things. And so those are the stations that are going to get, with really rural, that aren't raking in the donations to stay open. Those are the places that are going to take a massive hit. And it is, I would say it is malpractice to not continue to fund those things that are so beneficial and are commercial free, for crying out loud, right? And so that's crazy. So WGBH, Boston Public Radio, their jazz programs at night, absolutely love it. The other station that I truly love, I listened to it a lot when I worked in the food industry, working at the pie shop, making pies and lumping 50-pound bags of sugar, 50-pound bags of flour, 55-pound bags of shortening, all of that stuff, who cares? But anyway, I listen to a lot of WERS, and that is Emerson College Radio. You got college DJs and several different specialized programs there, including the incomparable George Knight. George Knight has been on a few Boston radio stations through the years, but now he's been at WERS for quite some time, and he's about as gentlemanly and likable a DJ as ever there was. And I think he's also a mentor to the college DJs. And you're a DJ there when you're in college, and then you move on, so new DJs are having to be trained in whatever, and a lot of them have really likable personalities, and you can tell some of these people are gonna be in radio. They just have it. They're likable, they're articulate, they play a real good set list, they have an actual working familiarity with what they're playing and who's in those bands. So WERS, Emerson College Radio, is top shelf. Maybe we're really fortunate here in the Boston area to have such great radio, but it's funded by, in great part, by donations of listeners, and people will absolutely throw their money away on Amazon trash, but won't spend $5 a month to support a radio station they listen to for hours a day. It's just kind of a crazy thing. So the government voting amongst themselves to not continue funding public radio should not be a deterrent. It's discouraging, but hasn't this whole stretch been discouraging for some people, right? Some of you guys have never said louder yeehaws than you have in this particular phase, but for a lot of people this has been a really damaging time period, and this is like one more, like, what else are you gonna go after? Public radio, for crying out loud. But if you're not going to support it, that's great. Let the rest of us continue to support it. But that does put the onus on some of those listeners who listen and listen and listen, but don't really kind of give back. And so maybe now's the time, if you're one of those people, maybe now's the time to support one of your public radio stations, whether that's WGBH, PBS, PBS, all the kids programming and stuff, man. It is so good, and so they get the science right in their programming. They get, if you're gonna plop your kid around and use the boob tube babysitter, PBS Kids, you don't have to worry about it. And again, losing its funding. But we need to step up and make sure that stuff continues to run, because it is important, and it is factual, right? And that is really, really important, you know, in this day where we prefer to be entertained over instructed. You know, we prefer to be inflamed rather than educated. And so that's all. That's it. Support your local public radio station, please, because radio is just, it's a forgotten joy and a pleasure for most of us. And that's it. That's my spiel for today. I will say that my motor mounts, engine mounts in this Dyna Lowrider 2009 Harley Davidson, my Bug Smasher, I do have a date on the calendar to get those things fixed. Right now, just to give you an idea, when your motor mounts are shot, something that you might, if you ever played the game Operation and you hit the edge and you get that buzz, you can imagine that through your hands and feet. And that's what riding above a certain speed is like with shot engine mounts in some cases. So that's what I'm experiencing, and which is going to be ameliorated soon. All right, guys, Matt the Greeter, I care about you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.